I've never been to Leicester. I'm staying there gave class there yesterday. I'm in Birmingham today for the first time, and tomorrow in Nottingham tomorrow, before I'm ticking off to Hungary, and then Bratislava, and then Lithuania, and then back to Vrindavan finally. After 2.5 months, we'll be back in Vrindavan. But of course, by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, we say, wherever Krishna is, Vrindavan. That's Vrindavan. And Srila Prabhupada has placed Krishna everywhere around the world. I was also told today, this evening, there's Prabhuji's brought the 12 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, which will be installing in his house after this program. And I think I can speak a little bit as I travel with Srila Prabhupada more and more, especially this trip. Just for over 2 months, we're visiting, I think, 8 different countries. I don't know how many cities and temples, but many, many places, over 20, maybe 24 different places in these last 2.5 months. Srila Prabhupada did that for 15 times around the world in 10 years. He never stopped. On so many levels, it's easy to understand Prabhupada was not an ordinary person. What to speak of his position in the spiritual world. He was asked a few times who he was in the spiritual world. And I've heard 2 different responses. Well, the one he said, if I told you, you would faint. Told you would faint. He said that to one of my godbrothers who asked. Another godbrother once asked him, Prabhupada said, we don't discuss these things. This is devotee. Devotee doesn't promote his big person. Just the opposite. That's when you know they're devotee of Krishna. And they always say they're very, very fallen, insignificant, just trying to serve their spiritual master. That's what Prabhupada would say all the time. He would say, if I've done any magic, as I traveled with them, there were so many things devotees would say, different kinds of magic. Prabhupada did mystic powers he exhibited. I did see him exhibit mystic powers in different ways. He always knew exactly what to say to devotees. I joined him in 1972 in New Vrindavan. And it was Janmashtami. Prabhupada was there for 10 days. Janmashtami is Vyas Puja, doing Bhagavat Sapta up on what was called Govardhan Hill in New Vrindavan. And he was initiating, giving first initiation, second initiation. I didn't attend any of those functions because I was cooking in the kitchen in New Vrindavan for a few hundred devotees that had come from all over the U.S. and even some from England and Europe. So I had my service there in New Vrindavan. I was just there recently, last month, and I met one devotee. And he told me about it. He was there 53 years ago when Srila Prabhupada was in New Vrindavan. And he was a bhakta. And he was there on Govardhan Hill. They had a little stage where Prabhupada would speak from. And Prabhupada walked up the stairs to the stage, but it wasn't ready yet. There was not even anywhere to sit. Not even a plastic chair was there. And this devotee was down at the base, on the grass at the stage. And he saw Prabhupada walking up to the stage. And he became an anxiety. And he thought, I'll go up there, I'm going to run up on the stage and I'll just get down on my hands and knees. And Prabhupada can sit on my back. So he has a seat. And as he was thinking like that, 2 devotees finally, they were carried up Prabhupada's Vyasasana from the temple room. And they put it down and Prabhupada sat in the Vyasasana. So the very next day, they had initiation. Prabhupada was giving first initiation. And he gave that boy his name. He called him Vyasa Das. Prabhupada could hear. A devotee once asked Prabhupada, it was on a morning walk, was the pure devotee, spiritual master, does he know everything? Prabhupada said, no one knows everything. Only Krishna knows everything. He said, but the spiritual master knows whatever Krishna wants him to know. But Prabhupada could certainly hear his disciples. Krishna Balaram Mandir. How many people, devotees here, have been at Krishna Balaram Mandir in Vrindavan? Very beautiful. Prabhupada said the most beautiful temple. Krishna Balaram Mandir, most beautiful temple. Most beautiful deities, Krishna Balaram. Designed by Srila Prabhupada. Looked after by Srila Prabhupada as they were being carved. Beautiful deities. So the temple, like many temples in India, you can circumambulate the deities. In Vrindavan, you have to go around the entire temple. You don't have to, but you do. You go around the entire, then you go behind where the deities are, and you can see where each of them are because of different things. People touch their head, most of the walls, they go by. So devotees always go by early in the morning, Brahma Muhurta time, they'll be chanting rounds. And right on the other side, this little pathway is Prabhupada's garden and Srila Prabhupada's rooms, right where he lived. 1974, 75, 76, 77. His home. Literally his home, right there. So one of my godbrothers, he's walking around after Mangalartik and he's chanting his rounds. He's walking and go behind the temple, behind the deities. And Prabhupada's sitting place on the other side of the wall is just like 3-4 meters away. It's very close. So he's going around and around and he's chanting. And Prabhupada had his servant call him into the room. He came into the room, he offered his obeisances. Prabhupada said, take my word for it, they didn't go to the moon. He's chanting, walking around, and he's thinking about it. How is it they didn't go to the moon? We all saw it on the television, we saw so many things. He's thinking it in his mind as he's chanting, walking around, going by Prabhupada's rooms. Prabhupada called him in and said, take my word for it. Didn't go to the moon. God, mystic powers. So many people would say, he gave a lecture, talking right to me. So amazing. Many people would say he was talking to me, personally to me. He could do that. He could talk personally, change your whole life just in one meeting. When I was in New Vrindavan, before he came, I had received Brahmin initiation in May 1972. I was living in the temple now for 1 year. You receive first initiation after 3 months, 90 days. Literally, it was 3 months to the day. Prabhupada gave me Harinam initiation, 3 months to the day. 9 months later, we drove across country, me and a few of my godbrothers, 5,000 kilometers to get Brahmin initiation. So I got that in May 1972, 1 year later. So then I go back to New Vrindavan. And if you're listening, I was the cook in the kitchen at New Vrindavan, Bahulaban farm. It was just a farmhouse. No running water, no gas stove, no electric stove, wood burning. Just put wood into the fire. That was the stove. There was a well outside the farmhouse. That's where you got your water from. It was very austere. And I was told I was the head of the kitchen. I was the only person in the kitchen. I was in charge. I was in charge of myself. That's it. I had to do everything. And during the festival, and other devotees from the other farms, Vrindavan Farm, Madhavan Farm. There were different farms in New Vrindavan. They came to help. One of them was Radhanath Das Brahmacharya. I said, you were cutting vegetables? I saw him last month. I said, you were cutting No, he said, I was washing pots. He said, very dirty pots because they were cooked on the wood. They were all black. Soot. They were blackened with soot. He said, I had to clean the pots. He said, I was cleaning pots all day. Dear Krishna, he was a grahasta. Dear Krishna Das. Now, Dear Krishna Das Goswami. He was cutting vegetables, rolling chapati, so we were all there. Anyway, before Prabhupada came, I had just gotten back from New Dwarka, where I became Brahmin. Got my Brahmin thread, chanting Gayatri Mantra. I remember when I joined, there was only one Brahmin in the whole temple. And we would chant Hare Krishna. We had that mantra. That was a free mantra. But these people, they had a special mantra. And they'd sit there with their hands. I'd watch them. I think they were going to levitate off of the ground chanting their Gayatri Mantra. So now I had my Gayatri Mantra after 1 year. In New Vrindavan, we had no bathrooms. Like in India. We'd just take our little lota behind the trees. We had different arrangements. And then we'd bathe in a creek. 4 o'clock in the morning. You learn how important the moon is when you have to bathe 4 o'clock in the morning. No moon means you can't see anything. Dark out. Full moon means some light is there. Anyway, one morning I bathed. Then I go into the kitchen, I prepare the deity's plate, milk sweets on it, Radha Vrindavan Chandra. I go before I put the plates on their altar, I go before the altar, I say all my prayers, Namo Vishnu Padaya. And then I go to get my Brahmin thread, and it's gone. It disappeared. I guess I lost it in the dark, throwing buckets of water over my head from the creek bed. Had no Brahmin thread. I only had it for a few weeks and it's gone. Oh, I went to Kirtananda, so I was crying. Krishna took away my Brahmin. No longer a Brahmin. That's okay, he said, don't worry. We'll make you a new Brahmin thread. He said, you're so sincere, because I was crying. He said I was sincere. He gave me a new Brahmin thread. I just went on that way. That was like June. So then I become Prabhupada's servant. August. We go to New Vrindavan. We go to Vrindavan. Radha Damodar Temple for Kartik. Whole month of Kartik. October 15th and November 15th, 1972. Prabhupada stayed there, Radha Damodar Temple, the entire month. The first time he stayed in Vrindavan for Kartik since he left Vrindavan in 1965. And Ekadasi day comes, and I'm told Prabhupada changes his Brahmin thread on Ekadasi. So, he's going to put new Brahmin thread on. I'll take his old Brahmin thread. And I'll be again, I'll have proper thread. Prabhupada chanted on it. Those of you know, Radha Damodar Temple. There was a little veranda between his sitting room, bedroom, and the kitchen, where he translated, where he took prasadam. So that's where I sat, on this veranda, right at the courtyard, Radha Damodar Temple. So that day, you get Prabhupada massage, then he bathes. While he's bathing, you lay his clothes out on the bed, kopin, fresh dhoti, fresh kurta. You go to his desk, you open up this mirror, you get his ball of tilak ready. Chandan was on his desk in a little katuri. There's a small lota, about as big as a golf ball also with the water in it and a little spoon. He put the water in his hand. You could see him. And I put the new Brahmin thread on the table. I'm sitting on the veranda. And I'm very excited. I'm going to get my Brahmin thread finally. Because I never said anything to Prabhupada. That was not my, I was too nonsense, too much of a rascal to even say I had some issue back then. I lost my Brahmin thread. But I thought I'll take his old Brahmin thread. So I'm sitting in the courtyard and I see Prabhupada put his tilak on. And he said, oh, he's very straight. He has his Brahmin. He puts the other thread on, so you've got the two together, right? This is what you do, Brahmins. How many Brahmins do we have here? I don't know if I'm Brahmin anymore. And I see him, I'm watching him from the courtyard chanting. Very straight. Prabhupada always sat very straight in his chair and was chanting. So then he finishes. And he gets up. And he walks out the door and he's going past me. So of course I offer obeisances. As soon as you see him, offer obeisances. And I'm offering obeisances and I look down and I see his lotus feet. They're right in front of my head. He stopped. And I sit up and he looks at me. He said, the Brahmin thread? I said, yes, Prabhupada. He said, bury it under the Tulsi plant. Two and a half years, I gave away Brahmin threads every Ekadasi. Never said anything. He told me to bury it under the Tulsi plant because he knew I wanted to take it. And I thought, oh, I don't know. Then he walks into the kitchen to take lunch. I go to his desk and I thought, I'm still going to take his Brahmin thread. I was determined. I already made up my mind. So I come back out, I sit in the courtyard, I go to put the Brahmin thread on around my neck. He cut all the threads. Cut all the threads. Never did it again. 2.5 years. Only for me he did it. Because he knew what I was doing. I was being a rascal. He knew it. So what did I do? I sat there and tied all the strings together. That's why I was with Prabhupada. And most mercy for the most fallen. I was determined. Even he told me to do something, I didn't do it. I was very happy. I put it on around me. I have a thread chanted by Prabhupada. Not once, not twice. Dozens of times I thought, such a sacred thread. I never thought about it again. Well, I did think about it sometimes. But that was 1972. So I was with Prabhupada in Mayapur. Last time I was with Prabhupada in Mayapur was 1975, 3 years later. And there, of course, he was there for Guru Purnima. He gives initiation, first, second initiation, a few sannyasis. I didn't go to Mayapur again for 30 years. 30 years. The next time I went to Mayapur was 2005. Okay? And I go back to Mayapur. And they have a big pandal, Guru Purnima. That big pandal every afternoon, evening, they're Prabhupada Katha. So of course I'm one of the people speaking Prabhupada Katha, being with Srila Prabhupada. So I spoke for about 1 hour. And there's, the seats are there, pondos there, lots of folding chairs. Mosquitoes are there. And after I speak, I sit down in the first row to hear the next person speaking. And there's not so many devotees in there at this time, about 10 chairs away. There's a devotee sitting there. He's like calling me over. Not like this, and go like this. Calling me. So I go sit next to him. First thing he does is give me some spray for the mosquitoes. Spray your ankles, spray your hands so the mosquitoes don't bite you. And then he's looking at me. He said, "Do you know who I am?" I've been around the world many times. A lot of people, I know them, but I don't know them. I can recognize their face. And it's been 30 years since I've been in Mayapur. He's been in Mayapur for 30 years. He said, "You know who I am?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah. I see you live here in Mayapur, right?" He said, "Yeah." "Who is my godbrother?" He says, "Do you remember what happened?" No. He said, "I got Brahmin initiation, 1975. He said, "You were sitting outside Prabhupada's room. And the process was, secretary or the servant, you would have the Brahmin threads. You would have them all apart. You'd give them to the devotee, and he'd walk into Prabhupada's room. Prabhupada put it on you. He would whisper Gayatri mantra into your ear, show you how to chant on your fingers." Of course, going to see Prabhupada for these devotees is a lot of anxiety. Usually, might be his first time, last time going into Prabhupada's room. So he said, "Do you remember what happened?" I said, "No." He said, "Well, I came up, it was my turn. You're sitting out Prabhupada's door." He said, "And you gave me my Brahmin thread. But I didn't undo it." Those of you who are Brahmin, you got to be very careful when you take them apart. They have these little twirls on the end of every two threads. And if you don't undo it, you just make a big mess. It just gets all knotted up. And you can spend many minutes trying to undo it. So he said, "You just handed me the thread." He said, "I went in the Prabhupada's room, I offered obeisances, I sat up. And Prabhupada says, 'Show me the thread, give me the thread.' He said, I tried to get it apart. He said, I couldn't do it. And Shyama Sundar came into the room, his secretary came into the room. He said, so I turned to him. I said, can you fix it? And Prabhupada yelled, he said, give it to Srutkirti. He knows what to do. From 1972, Prabhupada knew. Srutkirti, he knew how to fix Brahmin threads. He was tying it in knots back there when I was taking prasadam. He said, give it to Srutkirti. Otherwise, he would have just let his secretary do it. But he made a little joke, give it to Srutkirti. He knows how to fix it. But I didn't even hear that joke for 30 years. That was Srila Prabhupada. Those of you who think Srila Prabhupada's not here, you have no idea how present Srila Prabhupada is in his ISKCON society. 30 years later, he still told me the joke because I never caught it. 3 years later, he knows what to do. I gave away Brahmin threads all the time. He never cut them again, except only for me. Always wanted me to tell the truth. Huh? Don't try to trick your spiritual master. Sometimes I did. There was another time. That was also 1975 in Mayapur. I had one godbrother, sannyasi. He decided he wanted Prabhupada's chadar. Prabhupada had this gray wool chadar. Ever since I was with him, same chadar. He had it, I see it in pictures. He had it at least 6 years. This chadar was worn by Prabhupada for years and years. Went around the world many, many times on Prabhupada's shoulders, wrapped around his body, over his head. So this sannyasi decided he wanted it. And he made a plan. He sent a devotee to buy Prabhupada this Santush chadar. Anyone even know what Santush is? You know what Pashmina is. You know what Kashmir is. Pashmina. Santush. It comes from these hairs on the mountain goat in the Himalayas. the most precious, warmest, and it cost hundreds of dollars. And one of its features is the whole chadar, you could put it and pass it through the ring. It was so thin and light, but so warm, santush. Now it's thousands of dollars, if you can get one. Thousands of dollars, santush. That's what she said the other day Prabhupada was wearing. She bought one, plus $3,000. That's a different story. So he decided he wanted Prabhupada's chadar, so he bought him the best chadar possible. And then it has embroidery on it, both sides embroidery. First class, not one side embroidered, both sides hand embroidered.